Greetings, agents. The Mediocre Gamer here. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well today. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you find my videos useful or helpful. It really helps me out. Today we're talking about a skill build, or three skill builds rather, that are commonly known as the bro build. So they have been around for quite some time. So a little disclaimer, these builds were invented by a Division 2 player by the name of RISEOFBROTALITY of the Bro Squad. So all credit goes to Rise of Brutality for these three builds. They are very unique and they are capable of quite a bit of damage output if done right. So obviously it's a skill build, drone turret skill build. Just another little disclaimer that some of the pieces on these builds can be a little bit tricky to obtain. You may need to spend some time in Countdown farming them, or you may need to spend some time at the crafting bench trying to craft them, because there are some modifications to some of these pieces that are uncommon and therefore require some work to get it to all fit together. But anyway, um, whether or not you want to actually go down that alley is up to you. At some point, you will probably need to, but as a newer player, you don't necessarily have to. But this is just giving you a bit of an idea of what a hybrid skill build can do. So the emphasis here is on weapon damage, so the weapon that you carry doing quite a bit of damage with your skills complementing your weapon damage. It is quite squishy on because this is a no exotics build. There's no armor regen or anything like that, and glass cannon is in play, so it is quite squishy. So just remember to stay in cover and mind where your placement is, and try and stay at the back and put your skills ahead of you so that they're taking all the punishment. Um, Another disclaimer: if you have memento, then use that with this build. It will increase your survivability as well as your weapon and skill damage. And also, if you have capacitor, also use that, as that will also increase the amount of damage your weapon does, capacitor, and also the amount of damage your skills do. I've fiddled around with some of the pieces on this because um, these builds predominantly feature memento as a backpack. Um, so I've changed a few little things just to get rid of, because not using memento. Um, Obviously, without memento, it's not quite as powerful, but it will still be able to do heroic content quite well. All right. So if we have a look at the first one, which was the first bro build that was invented, I guess. So we've got 3 Empress. So Empress gives us 10% skill health, 10% skill damage, and 8% skill efficiency. And so that skill efficiency also gives us 8% skill damage, skill haste, skill duration, skill health, repair skills, and status effects. So mainly the damage, the haste, duration, and health are the main ones there. And then we're running 2 pieces of Brazos. So one piece of Brazos gives us skill haste. I think it's 10%. And then 2 pieces of Brazos gives us a skill tier, and that will come in handy. And then I've got on this build, I've got Hannah Yu on the backpack with perfect combined arms. So shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. So that's going to help you out. We've got glass cannon on the chest, which gives you a 25% damage amp to not only your weapon but also your skills. So we're really giving our skills quite a bit of extra damage with all of these builds. So all the rolls there are on each piece is skill damage, and then the other attributes that are left over, we I would recommend that you spec into critical hit chance until you get about to 50%, and then spec into critical hit damage. So you should get at about, once you hit about 50% critical hit chance, your critical hit damage should be about 110%, which is pretty good. So you should have 6 skill tiers and 2 weapon cores. So you will need to re-roll 2 of your pieces to a weapon core. Doesn't really matter which ones, whatever you find easiest. The Brazos pieces do drop with an armor core, so they can be tricky to farm. And obviously Empress drops with a skill tier, so 2 of those are going to need to be weapon cores. We are actually using the holster, the Brazos named holster, which is called Hikaro's holster. That actually comes with 10% weapon damage as standard. Once again, adding to how much damage output you're doing. Okay. Specialization for all of these builds is the tech spec for the +1 skill tier, as well as 10% skill damage. So just make sure you've got overclocked CPU selected. Yeah, so you can see there that once you've got this kind of together, you'll have 6 skill tiers and 2 weapon cores. So quite formidable. If we move on to Bro build version 2, this is slightly different. So this has 3 pieces of Hana Yu. So Hana Yu gives us 10% skill haste, 10% skill damage, and then 15% weapon damage for the third piece. I believe that Rise of Brutality made this build after Empress was nerfed. So Empress used to be 10% skill efficiency, but they knocked it back to 8% skill efficiency. Yeah, that 2% kind of does make a bit of a difference. So that's why this build was created. Once again, we've got 2 Brazos, again for the skill tier. Glass cannon on the chest, Hana Yu on the backpack with combined arms. And then everything here is rolled to critical hit chance, critical hit damage. No minor attributes are rolled to skill damage. So you'll still end up with 6 skill tiers and 2 weapon cores. And once again, it doesn't really matter where. But you should end up with 50% critical hit chance and about 139% critical hit damage, which is quite impressive for a skill build. So that's Bro 2. If we move on to Bro 3, which is the latest incarnation, and this is quite different. Again, the only thing carried over here is the 2 pieces of Brazos. So we have a Seska mask here that has been rolled to a skill tier. Once again, that may require some farming or some crafting. We have the named Providence piece on the chest, which is the sacrifice, which comes with perfect glass cannon, which is a 30% damage amp. But the damage you take is increased by 60%. So once again, just be mindful of that. 2 pieces of Hana Yu on this one. Sorry, 1 piece of Hana Yu. My apologies for the backpack. 2-piece Brazos, as I already mentioned, for the skill haste and skill tier, and the 10% weapon damage from Hikaro's holster. And then we've got Fox's Prayer knee pads, which come with 8% damage to targets out of cover, which is going to help your weapon damage output. So everything here has been once again rolled to critical hit chance, critical hit damage. No minor attributes are rolled to skill damage, although on my one here, force multiplier does. So you're looking at 50% critical hit, 50% critical hit chance and 150% critical hit damage. So once again, for a skill build, it's pretty impressive. So in the footage, I'm running a version of this build pretty close to this, nowhere near optimized. It's still capable of quite a bit of damage. I am running test subject, which comes with perfectly in sync, which basically gives you 25% damage amp for your weapon um, and your skills. And then if you've got and then if you've got two skills going at the same time and you're using your weapon, it's effectively doubled. So that's a very good choice if you don't have capacitor. I'm going to recommend test subject. If you don't have test subject, then just put the normal version of in sync on your weapon of choice, and that will certainly help out with your damage output. So there you go, agents. There's three fairly high damage output rather skill builds. Once again, thanks to Rise of Brutality for coming up with these builds. They are quite unique and quite creative in the way they are put together. If you have any feedback or comments, I'd be very interested in hearing them from you. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, you stay safe out there. Take care.